wars, scarcity, pandemics, disease outbreaks, increasing crime rates, and deforming geopolitical situations all conclude to one word: depopulation. Minimizing the number of people is a new solution for our leaders, and they have no fear of deploying it. A new conspiracy to unlock the alliance of global world order. The darker the truth, the spicier gets the conspiracy. Let us view this side of the story with our YouTube channel, Acumen Analysis. Before the start of this video, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends to make them aware of upcoming threats to humanity. The present is no safer than the past. The struggle between the United States and China grows sharper, not on battlefields, but in factories and laboratories. Export controls choke the flow of advanced chips, and supply chains fracture under invisible pressure. What once moved freely across oceans now crawls through guarded checkpoints. Meanwhile, the war between Russia and Ukraine grinds on, reshaping maps of energy and food. Grain, once bound for distant markets, rots in blockaded ports, while nations scramble to secure oil and gas before winter strikes. While talking about oil, we can't ignore America's greed for oil, which caused an immediate change in the government of Venezuela by force influence of Trump's strategy. As we talk about Donald Trump's domination, how can we forget his favorite ally, Israel? Tyranny and oppression as a result of Benjamin Netanyahu's brutal decisions is showing inclination in the death toll rate of Palestine. The Israeli Prime Minister continuously defies the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Gaza. Yet the world is a silent audience. The pandemic left scars that have not healed yet, teaching governments how quickly borders can slam shut, flights can vanish, and commerce can collapse overnight. Across Europe and the Americas, leaders rise on promises of walls, tariffs, and sovereignty.
Since the 1960s, world population has more than doubled, but the growth rate has been falling the entire time.
Do you know that philanthropy is a great mask to cover the scary face of depopulation agendas? You think it's all made up. Oh no, Bill Gates is a walking evidence of this theory. Gates is now openly discussing the unavoidable shift in global biology, specifically focusing on the gut microbiome and synthetic agriculture. This is the depopulation trap. They are pulling the plug on natural systems to usher in their green premium dystopia, when he warns that 2025 will be a heartbreaking milestone with rising child deaths. He isn't crying. He's presenting a bill. He's telling us that if we don't submit to his AI-driven breakthrough monopolies, the systems of life will be allowed to fail by pushing for radical wealth redistribution through higher taxes on the rich. He's not targeting his own offshore billions. He's aiming at the last of the independent middle class. They want to bankrupt the old system so that your only access to medicine and life itself is through a digital checkpoint. In 2025 summits in Abu Dhabi and Doha, then in his recent interviews regarding African agriculture, it all sums up to depopulation. If you don't believe me, then go and Google it about the recent agricultural land purchase by Bill Gates and Association. We will wait for your comments on this video about America's favorite philanthropist.
That are going very well. Things like reducing childhood death and...
Listen to me and listen closely. because the mainstream media will never give you the blueprint they've been following for decades, right under your nose. This isn't just some theory. It's a cold, calculated mathematical equation being solved by the high priests of the New World Order. It started with Thomas Malthus, that 18th century architect of misery who convinced the elites that the useless eaters would eventually consume the planet's bounty, leaving nothing for the self-appointed masters of the universe. From there, the torch was passed to the Rockefeller Foundation and the dark eugenics movements of the early 20th century, morphing into the Population Council and eventually weaving its way into the very fabric of the United Nations. Have you actually read Agenda 21? Have you looked at the fine print of Agenda 2030? They use sustainability and stewardship as linguistic camouflage for a controlled demolition of the human race.
In 1998, Dr. Zabin became the founding director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population Control.
22 million deaths in World War I, 85 million deaths in World War II. More than 7 million have died through COVID-19. Does this death toll shake your soul? For over 5 centuries, deglobalization has risen and fallen like tides shaped by invisible moons. The modern cycle took its strongest form after World War II, when shattered nations turned to cooperation, creating institutions to secure peace and rebuild economies. The 2008 financial crash cracked the illusion of endless growth, shaking trust in the system's stability. Then Brexit struck, a symbol of retreat, pulling one of the largest economies back into national lines. Liberal ideas spoke of integration as a shield against violence, a safeguard of prosperity. Realist thought whispered a harsher warning. Nations serve their own survival, and alliances are fragile masks.
What possible worlds might we create if we thoughtfully plan for an older, smaller population?
The world is breaking into pieces once again. Nations are pulling back, raising flags, and showing power through conflict. Old disputes return, and the promise of unity grows weaker. But battles are no longer only on land or sea. A silent war spreads through wires and screens. Cyber attacks shut down banks, black out cities, and spread false messages that divide societies. At the same time, the race for new technology deepens the split. Control over chips, artificial intelligence, and digital tools decides who leads and who follows. Alongside this, the move toward clean energy brings its own dangers. Solar panels, electric cars, and new power grids depend on rare metals and costly systems. Moving goods becomes harder, fuel prices rise, and trade slows. What once gave strength to globalization now makes it weaker. Every conflict adds new risks, turning allies into rivals and trust into suspicion. The map of the world looks less connected with each passing year, and when the storm finally settles, the danger may not be war alone. The real threat is that division becomes permanent, leaving behind a future where the world drifts apart, unable to come together again.
Those rely on more inputs from workers than withdrawals from retirees. It's what we call a pay-as-you-go system.
They literally carved their intentions in granite on the Georgia Guidestones. Maintain humanity under 500 million. Do the math. That's a 95% reduction. They view you as carbon to be sequestered, not as a human being with a soul. They're attacking the bedrock of life through engineered food shortages, the poisoning of our water tables with endocrine disruptors, and the constant drumbeat of climate emergencies designed to squeeze us into high-tech 15-minute digital gulags where birth rates naturally plummet. It's a multi-pronged assault, biological, economic, and psychological. They want a planet that is easy to manage, a sterile, quiet garden where the technocratic elite can live forever, while the rest of us are phased out of existence through a managed retreat. This is the Malthusian trap being sprung in real time. They aren't trying to save the planet for your grandchildren. They're trying to make sure your grandchildren are never born. Wake up! The Great Reset is just the Great Culling with a better PR firm. They're showing you the cage, calling it a sanctuary, and expecting you to walk right in while they lock the door behind you. It's time to see the signals through the noise before the silence becomes permanent.
So tell me what's
it's possible
to do.
That in 15 or 20 years we can completely redo it.
The walls are crumbling, patriots. From the smoke-filled streets of Paris to the digital battlefields of the Gen Z rebellion, the human spirit is finally screaming, enough! They tell you these protests are just about fuel taxes or economic mismanagement, but you know the truth. We are witnessing a global uprising against a Malthusian death cult masquerading as sustainability. Look at the farmers, the literal backbone of our species, being throttled by the EU Green Deal and the EU Mercosur trade trap. They want the land, they want the water, and they want your food supply dead. Why? Because a hungry population is an easy to manage population. This isn't just about politics. This is a biological counterinsurgency. They want a planet with 500 million manageable souls, but the other 8 billion are finally waking up to the fact that they're the ones on the managed retreat list. This is the great resistance against the Great Reset. The veil is gone. The roar is getting louder. Can you hear it?
We should run from a fearful world and get our heads out of the sand. And we should be able to imagine a much better, more resilient world.
The threat is real, and we will be forced to follow it. What appears as a solution to scarcity and hunger, the key to a bright and smart AI-based future, or latest food technologies, may conceal something far more dangerous. Stay watchful, because the story doesn't end here. In the silence between nations, the truth waits, hidden. Comment us for more, subscribe us for more revealing facts, and step deeper into the shadows of a fractured global order.